task today is to see if I can repair this crack in the rear wash wiper of my Kia Ceed Ecodynamic station wagon, or estate car as we normally call them here in the UK. This happened last winter when there was about 2 feet of snow on the car. So when I came out to the car with the snow, the weight went on it, pulled it down, and it snapped it there. There's quite a stiff spring in there, and the tension that puts on the arm obviously pulls it towards the pivot point, and it keeps it in reasonable shape, and it does actually work fine. There's no problem with it at all, but I'd just like to take this off and see if I can glue that with some epoxy resin or araldite, something of that nature. But I think there's going to be a bit of an issue getting this bugger off here. So it looks like it's about a 12mm. I've no doubt that several Scottish winters will have played havoc on the aluminium, and it'll have corroded itself on. But I'll give it a go. You never know, might get lucky. It's the ratchet spanner or ratchet wrench. That's coming off fairly easily. This will be the next part where it becomes impossible, I've no doubt. Yeah, that looks suitably corroded. So I'm going to put the phone down and I'm going to see if I can actually get this to move. Not sure if there's any movement at all on the splines there relative to the shaft. Obviously I can't put much pressure onto this because this is loose, as you can see, and I really kind of need to lift this arm up to try and get into that, so I'll need to have a look, see if I can just flick this part off. There we go. So that can get pulled off, that's handy. Now, so I'm going to have to still, I think, don't know if it's just my eyesight, but it might be that there's actually some movement there. Maybe not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some penetrating spray on that and leave it for a bit, and then come back and see if I can perhaps somehow kind of rock, you know, like rock this up and down and maybe get some movement. Double T penetrant spray from, I think it was Euro Car Parts or Car Parts for Less. So I've sprayed a bit on there. I'll leave that for a little while. I'll probably just pop that nut back on for the time being. Of course you can buy pullers to do these things, but that'd be far too sensible and too easy. Just like 2 teeth that go in there, and then a threaded rod that pushes on the centre, and it hopefully comes off. But I'll put that on there and I'll leave it for a bit of time. A wonderful technique. I got a pair of pipe grips and I gripped it there, put a bit of pressure, and well, it's obviously loose now, but I just kept sort of imperceptibly wiggling it, and then eventually it just came off. Didn't take much effort at all. So a pair of pipe grips and just gentle imperceptible movements. For some reason I seem to have cut my finger, but I don't know how I managed to do that. Didn't feel it. Hard as nails, obviously. So that came off actually quite easily. But yeah, you can also hold it like that and then just wiggle it gently. Obviously be careful about the glass, but it's certainly come off. So now I'm going to investigate how I can get in at the back and put some epoxy resin and see if I can fix that. Well, that's that. Can't fill any further now. To be creative here in the kitchen, I'm using a jar of Nescafe Gold Blend as a stand for my phone. So as you can see the cracks here. Now I'd initially turned this over and I thought, I'll get a torch here. I thought, how the hell am I going to get in there and put the stuff in there? And I thought, well, I'll probably have to remove that spring. A spring here, I'll just take the tension off there and then slacken it off. But it looks like it's actually going to be an easier job than that, because when you look at it from the top, you can see that obviously if I put pressure on it, it will split. But when you actually have the thing apart and you look in there, that's where the break is. So that point there, where the break is, that's going to be pretty straightforward to get in and put some epoxy resin in. So that'll be my task later. I don't know how it is actually fully broken there. So I think what I'll do is I'll take the spring off at this end. Let's see if I can do that just now. I'll just press stop. I have a rethink there about that spring, you know, once you take this apart. And obviously I was trying to get this part out, but all you need to do is, if you look down there where that other end of the spring is, just push it and it comes apart. Now let's see, it's fairly well hooked. Fairly well hooked in there. You can actually take that spring out now. So now you can see that it's going to be pretty straightforward to see where all the glue needs to go. You can see there, and you can see here. But I think it's still a good idea to have the spring tension on when you put the epoxy resin on, because it will give you a good tension and a good pulling together of the two surfaces while it cures. And then I've had a look at the shroud. There's this shroud obviously that goes over to cover the join. There's nothing in there. You can see the distance between the edges there and where it actually needs to join here. If I put a little bit of build up in there, it's not going to interfere with it. It's pretty far away from any surfaces that will have glue. So that was just another tip. I'll put the thing back together and I'll see I'll get the glue mixed up later on. Here we are, it's now Tuesday today, I think, and that's the epoxy. It looks pretty bad actually with the light, but there's plenty of epoxy resin in there. I've even got a little teardrop of it. Plenty in there as well. Feels pretty solid. Doesn't feel like it's going to snap or anything. I did have a bit of a moment of panic when I put the glue on, because obviously with it being still liquid it started going towards this joint, but there's no problem there. Somehow it just stopped at the edge. It didn't actually glue it. So well, the next thing I think is just to pop this back on the car. I think I've got the shroud here somewhere. With the shroud over it, I don't think there'll be much of an issue with the look of it. I could get a bit anal about it and clean all this up, but I'm not going to bother. It's not worth the effort. But one thing I will do, and I don't know if it's recommended, I'm going to put a tiny bit of copper grease on the spline so that if I do have to take this off in future, it's easily enough done. I'm assuming that the nut will hold it on tight. But once this cover's on, there'll be a very, very slight sort of visible crack there, but I can't imagine anybody will be looking at that particularly. Now, as my car's done 173,000 odd miles, it's not as if it needs to be in showroom condition. So, there we go. That's this morning. It's the following day now, and as mentioned before, I'm going to apply a little bit of copper slip or copper grease to the spline. Because it's a nice sunny day here now, it's not quite so straightforward for seeing what you're doing. So that looks enough. And then that looks fine to me, I think. I don't even know if I'm doing this properly because the bloody sunshine is on the camera. Oh, I've already got copper grease on there. Wrong way. Maybe a little bit lower than it should be. I'm not too worried about that. Now, where are we? Where's the shroud? Tightened up, and now for the pièce de résistance. So, we'll see how well that lasts. Looks like it's okay. Seems to be in about the right position. So, time will tell.